Happy Friday. We made it through the week. I am Miss Rainey, and I am back again with another English lesson for sixth grade. This is Organizational Patterns, Day 5. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with recapping what our lesson objectives were for the entire week. This week, we were focused on describing cause and effect relationships and their impact on plot, as well as identifying the author's organizational patterns. Today's learning target will be similar to yesterday's. We will be able to describe cause and effect relationships and their impact on plot. We know that plot is a series of events that take place in a story. Well, cause and effect relationships are important to plot because when one thing happens, it leads to another. And it's kind of like a domino effect. So, cause and effect relationships actually drive the plot forward. One thing happening can change how the story ends. Now, I kind of want to review what we've done this entire week because we started out with organizational patterns and then we got more specific with cause and effect. So, we know that organizational patterns, which is sometimes referred to as text structure, refers to the way that authors organize their writing. And authors organize their writing based on their reasoning for writing, their purpose. Organizational patterns may shift throughout the text. That's because the reason why authors write sometimes changes throughout the text. There are several types of organizational patterns. We focused on sequential or chronological order, compare, contrast, cause and effect, and problem and solution. We also learned that authors provide clues and signal words that help readers easily identify what organizational pattern is in the text that they're reading. So, yesterday we read a passage called Joseph in or Trip to the Mall about Joseph and Mara. And there were a lot of cause and effect scenarios within that story. We had you answer uh, three questions that answered what the cause was. So now we're going to go over those answers with you. Number one was, what caused Joseph and Mara to be late getting to the mall? If you selected B, their mother's car wouldn't start, then you're absolutely correct. So as a result of their mother's car not starting, Joseph and Mara were late to the mall. Number two, why did their friends go to the baseball game? The correct answer would be C. Joseph and Mara were late. So their friends went to the mall, they waited around. Joseph and Mara did not show up until later, which caused their friends to leave and go to the baseball game. Number three, why were Joseph and Mara able to go to the mall? If you chose option A, then you're right. They had done their chores and homework. Their mom had promised them if they did their chores and their homework, they could stay at the mall all day on Saturday. So that was the cause of them being able to go to the mall. All right, let's continue on. We're going to take a look at it at this anchor chart. So we know that the cause is the reason for an action, event, or decision. And we know that the effect is what happened as a result of the cause. As we learned earlier this week, authors provide readers with clues or signal words that help them to identify which organizational pattern is being used. If you look here at the anchor chart, you can recognize some of the signal words that are used when an author's organizational pattern is cause and effect. And then let's take a look at some sentence structures. Remember, I explained that usually the cause comes first and the effect comes after. However, in a sentence structure, that is not always the case. Sometimes the cause does come first in the sentence. For instance, all of the students ride a bus to school, so the bike racks have been removed. However, sometimes the effect comes first in the sentence. For instance, the students were given bag lunches because the electricity was out in the cafeteria. So, in the second example, the effect came first. The students were given bag lunches because the electricity was out in the cafeteria. All right, so now we're going to do an activity. We're going to watch the following read aloud for Alexander in the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. After watching this read aloud, you're going to complete the cause and effect graphic organizer by listing out the events that happened in the story. Let's go ahead and get started.
Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Written by Judith Boyce, illustrated by Ray Cruz. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. When I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found the Corvette Stingray car kit in his cereal box, and Nick found the Junior Undercover Agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Miss Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being mushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one even. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Miss Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Moyo was his next friend, that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream heart falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar from Pullman, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school my mom took us all to the dentist. Dr. Fields found the cavity just as deep. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then I started crying because of the mud. Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner. I hate lima. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep. The Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. Cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom said some days are like that, even in Australia.
All right. So now that we have completed watching the video and listening to the read aloud of Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, I would like for you to complete the cause and effect graphic organizer. If you look here, you're going to start with the initial event because remember, we we are going over how cause and effect relationships drive the plot, right? So each little event that happens causes the next thing to happen, right? So Alexander wakes up with gum in his hair, and that starts him off having a very bad day already. So I'd like you to fill in the chart, the graphic organizer, with the events that happen. What if we took out one of those events? How do you think it would have changed the way his day went? Say he actually found a treat in the cereal box, just like his brothers did. Do you think that would have made his day a bit more positive? This is how cause and effect relationships can impact the plot. So your task is now to go ahead and fill out the chart. Now remember, you can go back at any time and look at the video again if you need to, or look at any part of this presentation if you need to as well, this lesson. Alrighty, so let's just recap what you've learned today. Cause and effect is one type of organizational pattern that authors commonly use. Cause answers the why, and effect answers what happened as a result. The cause typically comes first, but not always when written. We did see an example where the effect actually came first and then told us the cause. Cause and effect relationships drive the action of a story and impact the plot, which is the series of events in a story. Let's reflect. So I want you to reflect on what you learned this week, from identifying organizational patterns to describing how cause and effect relationships impact the plot of a story. How can you now take these skills that you've learned and apply them as you read independently? Well, you practice and you practice some more. The more you practice, the better you'll get at applying these skills. So you read 20 minutes independently and see how many times the organizational patterns change. List out some causes and effects that you come across in your reading. Try to recognize signal words and see if that makes it easier for you to recognize the organizational pattern. Well, this concludes our lessons for this week. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and watch. Have a great day.